Today, we're diving into a book that didn't just tell a story, it completely broke the rules of how stories are even told.
I mean, just think about that for a second. A story that's so aware of itself, it kind of feels like it knows you're there. Well, you might think that's a modern, high-tech idea, but it's not. It's actually really, really old.
Okay, so you probably know Miguel de Cervantes' Don Quixote as the story about the guy who fights windmills. But the real fight in this book, the real battle, isn't against giants. It's against the line between what's real and what's fiction. It is an absolute masterclass in what we now call metafiction, and it plays this incredible game with you, the reader, that still feels revolutionary today.
To really get how Cervantes pulls this off, we've got to start with the man himself, a character whose entire reality is literally built out of other books.
So, meet Alonso Quijano. He's this guy living in a small Spanish town, and let's just say he has an addiction. It's not to gambling or anything like that. It's to reading, specifically these epic tales about heroic knights. And this is where the first crack in reality starts to show. See, he doesn't just enjoy these stories, he 100% believes they're real. He reads so much fiction that it basically overwrites his brain, making these wild fantasies feel more true to him than actual documented history. So what does a guy like that do? Well, he decides to become one of them. He literally stops being a reader of stories and transforms himself into a character from a story, complete with a new name, some rusty old armor, and a grand mission. He takes on the role of a knight-errant, a wandering hero. But you have to understand, for him, this isn't fantasy. It's not a hobby. It is a legitimate career path. And this right here is the first huge blur between fiction and reality in the whole novel. A character is literally walking out of the real world and into one he made up from books. But here's the thing. Don Quixote isn't the only one messing with reality. This is where the author, Cervantes himself, decides to get in on the action. And right from the very beginning, in the preface, he starts messing with us. So before the story even kicks off, Cervantes just breaks that fourth wall. He starts talking directly to us, the readers. But he doesn't sound like some all-knowing author. He sounds kind of sheepish, almost like he's apologizing for the book you're about to read.
And listen to the exact words he uses here. He says he's not the father of Don Quixote, but his stepfather. It's so subtle, but it's brilliant. He's creating this distance, pretending his main character isn't someone he invented, but a real person he just sort of found. He's trying to act like a historian, not a novelist.
And if you think that's a neat trick, trust me, Cervantes is just getting warmed up. He's about to add another, even crazier layer to this whole thing. So you're just a few chapters in, and suddenly, the narration just stops cold. The narrator, our guide, tells us he's run out of pages. The history of Don Quixote is just gone. It's a total fake-out, a cliffhanger designed to make us go, wait, where is this history even coming from? The narrator claims he's just as desperate as we are to find out what happens. He wants the real and true story. You see the game he's playing? He's framing this piece of complete fiction as a desperate hunt for historical facts. And then, wouldn't you know it, he's just conveniently wandering through a market and happens to stumble across some old notebooks written in Arabic. He gets them translated, and what a coincidence, it's the rest of the story he was looking for. And this is the masterstroke. Cervantes just invents a whole other guy, a fictional historian named Cide Hamete Benengeli, and claims he's the real author. All of a sudden, Cervantes isn't the creator anymore. No, he's just the translator. It's this brilliant fake source designed to make a totally made-up story feel like a historical document. So with all these layers in place, the book itself starts to feel like a battleground over what's real. And what's really fascinating is that the characters inside the story start having the exact same arguments that we are. On the one hand, you've got Don Quixote, who is absolutely, unshakably convinced that these chivalry books are real history. And on the other hand, you have characters like the canon, who are basically saying, dude, it's just fiction, it's made up. They are literally debating literary theory from inside the piece of literature. It's wild. Now, check this out. Through one of his own characters, Cervantes is basically giving us a free lesson in how to write good fiction. He's saying the best lies, the most pleasing stories, are the ones that feel the most true.
This book isn't just telling you a story, it's teaching you how stories work. It's a 400-year-old wake-up call to think critically about every story you consume.
So what is the point of all this? What's the end game for all these reality-bending games? Let's pull all the threads together and see what it means for us right here, right now.
What Cervantes built is basically a Russian nesting doll of storytelling. At the very core, you've got Don Quixote, living his fiction. Around him, you have other characters who argue about that fiction. Their story is told by a fake historian, whose work is translated by a narrator who is a character created by the real author, Cervantes, who is winking at you, the person holding the book.
The final effect of all this is that the wall between the story and you just completely dissolves. You're not just a passive observer anymore. You're actually part of the game. You're forced to ask yourself, wait a minute, who's telling me this? Why are they telling it this way? And what here is actually supposed to be real? 400 years ago, Cervantes was showing us that reality itself is a kind of narrative. We all live inside stories. Some we write for ourselves, and some that other people write for us. So the timeless challenge of Don Quixote, the one big question it leaves us with, is this: who is writing your story?